and welcome back to my tutorials. In this tutorial we'll be looking into how to create a jetpack. So if I press space now I can fly right up into the sky, and once I get high enough I run out of fuel and drop back down, but I can also feather the jetpack so I can use a little bit of fuel to keep myself moving and fly quite far without touching the ground. So let's have a look in how we can create this right now. So the first thing I've done is just create a third person template in Unreal so I have access to the third person character. So as usual, if you're just playing now, you've got a jump, but obviously we want this to be the jetpack instead. So what we're going to do is close that, go into third person, blueprints, and open this third person character. I'm going to dock it because it makes it easier for me to find and to see. And obviously we have this jump here. We're not going to use that anymore, so I'm just going to disconnect those. I may as well just disconnect those for completeness as well. Oops. There we go. I'm going to bring this IA jump, which is your jump input, off out here. So even though it's jump, it's actually going to be our jetpack now. I'm going to expand that. And actually, I'm not going to do anything with that quite yet. I think what the best thing to do is just set up the variables we're going to use. So down here, we're going to click variables. Now, what we probably want to do first is make, as it's a boolean already, make a boolean which is just jetpack active or something like that. And then actually we'll just start by pulling this one out and go and get, actually not get, my bad, drag it out, do set, because actually I want to set it, and when I want to set it is when it's completed. So here, and that is correct because I want that to be false when it's completed. And if I copy paste that and just put it up there, and also when it's started, and that's fine for now. We'll create the other variables now. So I click again on this plus. All the rest of them I think need to be float. So if I change it to float, and then give it the name max fuel. That's going to be how much jet fuel we're going to start with, and what level it goes up to once you have it reset. So if I compile that, and I'm going to type in the default value here, 100. And now I'm going to create some more variables. I'm going to create one that's going to just be called fuel. Now this essentially is what's going to get modified when you actually use your fuel. So we're going to leave that one just a 0, but obviously compile it to just say 0. We're going to add a jetpack force, so we're going to again make a new float. We call this jetpack force, and that's the force that's going to be applied to the jetpack to make it go up when we're actually launching our character. So if I press compile, I set the jetpack force to say 1,300. Cool. Next, we need a burn rate. Now, this is the amount of fuel that's being burned per second, I guess. Oh, sorry, burn rate, not burned rate. And I'm going to set that to about 30 seems good for now. Now you can adjust these values, but remember this burn rate is how much fuel is going to be used per second. So you don't want to put it over 100. And even if you put it on 100, you get 1 second of jetting around, and then you'll just fall down. So just bear that in mind. What we need next is our current thrust. Don't worry about that yet. We'll get to that later on. But essentially, we just want to smooth out when you're doing your initial takeoff, basically. And finally, we want to add a recovery rate. And this is for when you've stopped pressing space, or well, essentially you've run out of fuel and you've let go of the input. So this will let you feather the flight of the jetpack and also make it so it refills it basically. And I'm going to put about, I don't know, 50 for now seems a good value. I might tweak that later on. So compile, and all the variables I think are now set up. So we're just going to stay on this input jump action, because what we want to do is we want to get our character movement component, this here, drag that out. So we've got character movement, I'll drag out from this, and I want to get the set movement mode, I believe it's called. Yep, set movement mode. And if I just connect that up. Now, when this is started, oh, I made a mistake here. I did not click Jetpack Active. So do click that from your started. And now the new movement mode needs to be falling. So essentially, it's a bit counterintuitive, but basically, when you're using your jetpack, you want to be able to fall naturally afterwards. So by setting this, once the initial force runs out, you'll start falling back to the ground. There is a flying mode, but that isn't what we want. It'll do some strange things and it won't work for you, so we'll just ignore that one for now. And I think that's okay for that. What I'm next going to do is get our begin. So event begin play. If I right click and search for it, and drop that in. And what I want to do with this is I want to basically get the max fuel and then set the fuel to be whatever that max fuel is. So when you start, you can actually just get the max fuel and set it. And in fact, what I'm going to do, just to make it a bit easier, if basically tweaking it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to max fuel and make that public, so visible. And actually, we'll do it with jetpack force. We may as well do it for burn rate and recovery rate as well. In fact, we'll just put that one up there to make it a little bit neater. And maybe bring that down because they're not visible. So then I've got a bit more of an order to it. Yeah, that's fine. So I've just reordered those a little bit. So that'll just help you if you go in here and you've got, say, a third person character already pulled out, which we haven't. Then you can go into details and you can do things like tweaking those rates. So let's go back into here. And what I actually want to do next is actually set up our jetpack. So we've got these inputs that tell us when the jetpack's active and when it's not active. What I'm going to do, because it makes most sense to get updated every frame, is to use a tick. So if I right click and search for tick, I'll find my event tick. Cool. Now, like I said, we need to know when the jetpack's active. So we've got this jetpack active ball. So if I pull this out and go get, and then pull away this wire and type branch, we have a branch control. So I'm just going to put that there and connect it. Now the branch control will either be true or false depending on what action's happening here. So when we have our active jetpack, we want to first check that we've actually got fuel. So if I drag out my fuel variable that I made and go get fuel, and we want to drag out from the pin and make the wire and go greater than, and just leave this at 0. And if you pull out from this boolean pin and search for a branch, make another branch, connect the jetpack active true to the branch. Now what we have here is if the fuel is greater than 0, then we can jetpack basically. So what we need to do now is set up our logic to actually calculate the fuel. Now we want to make sure that if we have different kind of frame rates that we're getting about the same result with our jetpack. So what we want to do is we want to get our burn rate from over here and we want to know how much fuel we're going to use. So I'm going to do a multiply first and then I'm going to get world delta seconds. So what this will do is it will act as a multiplier to sort of average out the burn rate so it works within our time frame. And then what we're going to do from that is drag out and do a subtract. And actually I want to disconnect this pin, else this is not going to work very well. I'll break this link and put that down on the bottom of the subtraction. And on the top, I want to get my fuel, and I'll get fuel, and I'll reconnect that. And what I'm going to do is just put that there. And then I'm going to drag from this, and I'm going to search for set fuel. So what's going to happen is it's going to do the calculation of the burn rate against the world delta seconds to count for the frame rate. It's going to multiply that to give us the right value, whatever the frame rate is, and then it's going to subtract that from our fuel. So the new fuel value will be in there, all subtracted and correct, basically. Next, what we need to do is do basically what I said earlier. We'll smooth it out a little bit when we initially take off. So I'm going to use F into the interpolation, F interpolate 2, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have our current thrust variable, and that will be what the current value is. The target is going to be our current jetpack force. The delta time, I'm just going to copy this get world delta seconds and plug that in. And the interp speed, I'm going to add this to say about 16. And that will make it quite smooth, I think. If you put it on 0, it's going to be quite instant, but it's going to be a bit more smoother. So if I go from the return value and now do set, and we'll set our current thrust, and there we go, just connect that set from the fuel to the set, the current thrust, and we're on to the next part of the setup. So we've got it all kind of working as we want in terms of a smooth takeoff, but we actually need to apply this to make our character actually, take off into the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the current thrust variable that we just created, set. So now we've set that. what we want to do is we're going to do what we did before and multiply this and set this to our another copy of the get world delta seconds. Now you can just link these, but it'll look horrible, so I'm just copy pasting them around so it looks neater. And then what we want to do is if we drag out from this and search for vector, in fact, not just vector, make vector would be better. And we've got this make vector. Now, actually, it's connected the wrong pin, so I'm going to break this, and I'm only going to connect the Z because that's our force upwards. So if I go from our return value, actually, I'm not going to do that yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and search for launch character. Now, as you can see, if I connect this, we have a target, which is self, which is fine because we're in the third person character, so it'll launch this character. But we need to know our launch velocity. Now we've created this. We don't want the velocities to get added for the X and Y because that will do crazy things and you're zooming across the level and it'll be quite uncontrollable. We only want the Z because that's our up value. So if we just connect that to launch velocity, then we've done with our jetpack. Now, at the moment, if I play this, I would think that what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to jetpack up, we'll run out of fuel, and then nothing will happen. Let's just try that to just prove it. So if I do it now, I should be able to jetpack. I'm jetpacking, I'm up high, and if I release, I'm going to be unable to jetpack again. And he'll start to like do a jump, but he won't move anywhere. Now, or sorry, she even. Now, what we want to do is actually make it so the fuel regenerates. Now, that's actually quite easy to do. We've actually got the logic here. All we need to do is instead of subtract it, we need to add it. And also, we don't want this burn rate, we want our recovery rate instead. So if I drag out from, just make sure I get the right one, the Jetpack Active, because this is just checking our fuels available, and go from Jetpack Active and do set fuel again. Now what we want to do, I'm going to get one of these world delta seconds because we'll definitely need that, and I'll want to get our recovery rate, and we'll put those there, and in the recovery rate we'll pull out and go multiply, and we'll connect to the delta seconds. And like I said, we don't want to subtract, we want to add. So we get our fuel again, like that, and we'll want to add to the fuel and connect that up. Now, one thing about this is that if we run this now, we'll be able to keep adding fuel sort of indefinitely, which might be fun, but also is a bit broken and not really what we want to do. So if I pull this out and search a clamp, and we want to clamp a float, so we set clamp float, we've got a min and max value. Now the min value is fine, that's going to be 0 fuel, that's what we want. Max is 1, well that's not going to get us very far. So what I want to do is just get our max fuel value that we created earlier, which should be set to 100. So it'll only ever go back to the max fuel amount. And if I get the return value and just connect it to our set fuel, we're done there. Now, there's just a few things, just one more thing really that we need to do. When we land at the moment, we set this movement mode to falling. If he lands, he's going to continue to do the landing animation. It's going to look a bit weird. He won't. They won't walk naturally when they land, basically. So What I'm going to look for is the character movement, just drag that out. If I just drag out from that and such is falling, don't choose the nav movement one, choose the movement one from the bottom. Then what we're going to do is we're going to know when this is falling. So if I go from the return value and type for branch and make a branch and connect this up. Now, what actually we need to think about is when we're falling, we want it to remain the same. We want it to do the sort of flying logic animation or whatever. When it's false, we're touching the ground, we want it to go back to walking. So what I'm going to do is just come up here, get this set movement mode with the character movement already on it, which is set to falling. Just copy it, copy paste, drag it down here. Now, like I said, we need it when it's not falling. So when it's false, connect that to that and set this to walking. Now, hopefully, it's all going to work when you launch the game. So there you go. Feather the fuel a bit. You might want to tweak about with that value. And eventually I'm going to run out of fuel and drop. And if I just keep holding the space bar, I go up for miles, but I can't really rescue myself and pull back. So I think that's everything for this tutorial. Now that obviously you might want, I don't know, a fuel bar. Might be something we can look at doing a percentage bar for like health or fuel later in a different tutorial. Or you might want to change the character like I did with mine. But that's it for now. So I look forward to seeing you next time and remember to subscribe for more tutorials.